Hi, friends. It's Carrie from Stretch Tea. I am super excited because today we're going to do a live tarot reading from my dining room, which is turned into my filming everything room. Uh, I just realized, oh, shoot, quiet. I just realized that I had an alarm set on my phone for 9 o'clock, and then it went off, and it threw me off the broadcast. So I'm trying to do two cameras. We'll see how it goes. Um, I hope some of you will join in. I am pretty excited about this, but it's totally a last minute thing that I just kind of decided I wanted to do tonight because I was bored. I also wanted to do this a few weeks ago. I started Life Renovations on my YouTube page, and I did one full week, and then my cat died, and I was just devastated, and it was like a full stop. So I just decided at that point, like, you know what? When it comes, right? So I'm hoping to start rolling out Life Renovations courses one by one as we go. Originally, it was like a weekly course, but times are weird right now. So we'll figure out. I'll figure out a balance. But as these courses come out, I think you'll really like them. It's basically about like how to live your best life, right? Like how to be your true authentic self, how to let go of your ego, dismantle the ideas that are built up in your brain and the ideas of like how you've been locked into life, and like unlocking all of that so that you can actually find the purpose that is really unique to you and to live that purpose, to like do it as maybe like as your career even would be amazing, right? Now, I've been teaching this course. I wrote Life Renovations in 2013. So yeah, it's been quite some time. And I taught it for many years as an online course. And then I took a few years off because I was growing and changing. And so Life Renovations kind of needed to grow and change too at the same time. And I just felt like it needed a break. So now that I'm like in my house and all the growth and change is happening, whether I like it or not, I am unveiling Life Renovations again. So off we go. One of the things that I love to do with my friends is to do tarot readings. And it's just something that we've always done just for kicks. It's like tea and tarot, like why don't you come over and we'll sit on my couch, or like, I'll make a cup of tea and we'll read cards. And I have to admit that most of the time those readings are about boys, and this one is not going to be about boys, although you never know what'll come out, right? I mean, I was teaching class this morning. Oh my gosh, this class, you guys, I've been pulling tarot cards for my stretching class that I teach live on Saturday mornings. I teach it 6 days a week, but this one just happened to be this morning. And I pulled the Lover's card and the Emperor and the Empress in a stretching class. I was like, what the what? So you know what? You never know what'll come out. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, if you guys are watching this streaming, like if you backtracked it, go ahead and fast forward because you're not really going to miss much. And I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to ask me questions if you want to. Now, if you leave me a comment on this, like if you write in the chat, in the live chat, then I can actually answer questions for you. I can do a little reading for you. I'm cool with that. Why not? I got all the time in the world. I'm just sitting here drinking tea. So feel free to say hi, tell me you're here, ask me a question. It's all good. But we're going to start off with just kind of like a collective reading. And I think I want to use these cards. You guys, my friend made these. They're called the Forgotten Tarot, Siri Soderblom. She is amazing, and let me get that in a place where you can see it. She made these cards, and I love them, and I always get the coolest readings from them. So I don't exactly know where you can buy these. I know you can get them from Siri directly. Hi, Lauren! Oh my God, I'm so excited you're here. Yay for tea and tarot. I hope you have a cup of tea. So Siri made these cards, and they are fantastic, and And yeah, I get really cool readings off of them. You guys, I mean, check them out. They're all like old-fashioned pictures. Isn't that cool? I think they're so cool. So we'll start with that, and I'll just do like a collective reading. This is a Life Renovations reading specific. So this is like for the collective group of people who are looking to be their best selves, right? Are looking to find what they want in life, what is their best life, right? All right, and I'll just keep pulling cards. I have a camera here that I can put. Microphone. All right. How about now? Any luck? Any sound? Can you hear it? It looks like it should be there. What do you think? Yay, okay. Sorry. It's, technology. I'm learning. I'm learning as I go. I appreciate your patience. So, okay, for anybody, I'm just going to write this in the chat. I hope maybe people can see this. Jump ahead. I mastered technology. Okay, done. Good. Okay, starting over from the beginning. I said some really profound things earlier. You guys missed it all. It's my own. I know, computers are the worst. It's like there's a retrograde, but there isn't. There's some retrograde, but it's not Mercury. Mercury would be the one that does it. The problem is that up until this point, I have lived a total analog life, playing the piano or just like stretching people. And now it's like, I have tripods. I mean, it's like, it's just nuts. Anyway, so I have this amazing tarot deck from my friend Siri Soderblom. And we have in our first place category, the King of Wands. And conflicting with that, we have the Queen of Wands. So that's really interesting, especially because this morning in stretching class, we had the Empress and the Emperor that came up in the stretching class. So we spent the whole class this morning working on balancing masculine and feminine energy and paying attention to yin and yang. And then what ended up happening at the end of class is that it just became really clear that both were working in tandem, that they were working together. And without one, you couldn't have the other. So we ended up with this feeling of like real unity or oneness between the feminine and the masculine. So instead of it being like this thing over here and its opposite over here, we ended up with this feeling of like everything kind of working together. And so I think that's what this centerpiece is about. It's mainly about like the foundation of who you are and what opposes you. And so for me, I found in my quarantine life that that I am really becoming quite aware of who I am in this world, in my home. And I'm also becoming quite aware of who the image or the mask that I put on when I go to my studio. So a lot of you know me from the studio, right? And I run the studio. I'm pretty business. I mean, not completely. When I'm with my clients, it's a different story. But I get on the train and I go downtown and I ride the elevator up to my office and I have to take out the trash. And when I get home, I have to do the finances and I have to do the marketing and the sales and I have to money and, all the things. And it's a very masculine energy. And I've been doing this for over a decade, right? And all of a sudden, here I am stuck in my house with a cat and I am cooking and I'm doing this YouTube stuff basically full-time. Teaching piano lessons, a little online too, but mainly full-time YouTubing, which is crazy, and not making any money, but just kind of relying on the givingness of others, like the goodwill of others to kind of help me through, and having to just be very receptive, which is very feminine energy. So here I am with this like confliction, I guess if that's the right word, with this like opposing factor of masculine and feminine energy in my wands category of like action, 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 right? And it's really fascinating to me. Now, the foundation of the question is down here at the bottom. And this is basically like, what's the real question here, right? And when I shuffled these cards and laid this out, I just basically said, like, what are the people who are hearing? What are the people who are here? What do they actually want to hear? Like, what are they what do they need, right? And this card is the Four of Wands, which in most tarot decks is like, it looks like a wedding ceremony. And that's kind of what this one looks like too in series deck. It's like a Four Wands, and there's some women dancing under it, and there's some people down there like having cocktails, and they're out in the country, and it's very lovely. To me, it's kind of this like balancing of energies on all four corners, sort of like a table, right? And so you have the four pillars of the table, or the four legs of the table. And if one leg is a little off, then the whole table's not good. It could be a little wobbly. But if one leg is broken, your table can't stand up. So you kind of need to find like the four pillars or the four corners of your table, the four legs, to make sure that you can stand up properly. So I think what this reading will be about, and what question we're really asking is, how can you keep yourself balanced? How can you balance out your northeast, south, and west? Like, how can you make sure that you feel really stable and comfortable going forward, especially at a time when like we don't really know what's happening. Like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. No clue what's going on in the world, right? It's hard to say. So I apologize if it's getting a little pixelated. It'll open up in a second. This stream kind of goes off and on. In our recent past, we have Temperance, and this is this lovely lady. She's kind of a belly dancer type. She has 2 cups, and in those cups are water, and the water is flowing easily back and forth between the two, and kind of almost like magically, right? Now, this is the past. So I think basically what this is trying to say, to me anyway, is that it's about finding the balance between good and bad, or the balance between like, you know, the opposites, the dualities, like I was talking about before. So like, here we are in quarantine, right? Here we are, we're all locked down. We're all like having to remake life and do things that are completely different than what we're used to. We're limited in ways that we weren't before. And I mean, I have to wear special shoes to go to the grocery store. Like, life is totally changed. And I go back and forth between, I really love this and I really hate this. And I really love this and I really hate this. And it's a little bit of both energies at the same time. There's a unity in the opposites, right? So you can kind of think of them as being more of like on a spectrum, or even like in the bad, there's a little bit of good, and in the good, there's a little bit of bad, right? So here I am in quarantine. I mean, I'm not quarantined. I'm not sick. I keep saying quarantine because I like the word. But here I am. Luckily, I'm very introverted, so I'm very comfortable in my house. I'm not really lonely. I'm just fine. I'm doing actually pretty well for me. I'm talking to a lot of people online. You know, I'm having a lot of calls with my family and my friends. I'm rested. I'm taking naps. I wake up with the sunshine. I connect with you guys online. I'm eating really well and healthy, and life is actually, you know, pretty good. At the same time, I'm scared to go to the grocery store. When I go for a run on the street, I give people dirty looks. I haven't like hugged somebody or given anyone a high five in over a month. That's crazy. So, you know, there are good and bad things all the time, but I think that's what we've been working on the whole time. I'm sorry, guys. I just got a strange phone call. So forget that. And I hope everything went okay. So that's what's happening kind of through the, and this here, if you can see, sorry guys again, is people randomly calling me. This woman is sneaking away with all the pens. Now, it's in this deck, they're pens, not swords, because Siri says the pen is mightier than the sword, right? So great. But the 7 is about being kind of sneaky, right? Being a little deceptive, running away with all the pens, right? She's kind of like sneaking off. So what's that about, right? Like maybe here we are a month in to, because it was about a month ago that Chicago shut down. I don't know where you guys are, but it was about a month ago that Chicago shut down. And I think we're having to really come clean with who we are and what we want. And so I think we'll look into that one a little bit deeper and see if we can get a little more information about it. But let's keep moving on and we'll come back to it. The future, this is like the immediate future, the near future. This is the Hanged Man card. And it's kind of funny because it's a woman on a swing upside down. I mean, how cute is that? That's hilarious, right? It's very playful. It's kind of, I think it's pretty fun. So the Hanged Man is basically like a spiritual card of being in a place where you feel a little bit restricted, right? Feeling like you're tied up, upside down. You're sacrificed in kind of an uncomfortable way. You're in pain, but you also realize that that has a spiritual component to it and that you're growing and learning from it. So you're actually finding an enlightenment because you're in this place. Now in the tarot deck, the Hanged Man comes after the Hermit. And the Hermit to me is somebody who has taken themselves into the mountains and lets their beard grow, and they get old and like life really sucks, and they kind of, you know, they find this spiritual enlightenment, but in a way that's really about being like old and uncomfortable. And you know, the Hanged Man is very young and he seems kind of smug and he's kind of like, I'm all right, everything's fine. Like this woman, she's on a swing, she's okay, right? She's okay, she's hung in the air, she's stuck there, but she's, you know, she's doing okay, she's having a good time. So the near future could be a space where you're still feeling a little bit tied up, you're still feeling a little bit like life is not what you're hoping for, or you know, that you just in the interim feel uncomfortable, but it'll feel at the same time like you're gaining something really profound by it. And that's pretty amazing. I mean, I've been feeling that way already through quarantine, but you might feel that way too. So let me know what you feel like. All right, now in this category down here, we get into our fears. And this is the Two of Pentacles. Now, Pentacles are typically about like your home life, your work, that sort of thing. It's about having to balance life out. It's about like trying to juggle and figuring everything out. And this guy is playing the violin and he has like a banjo. He has two banjos on his side. He's kind of like a one-man band. So it's kind of like if you were playing all the instruments all at once. And I mean, come on, man. Like if you really want to do it, you got to put something down, right? If you really want to balance things out, then you got to let go. So with this one, I think one of our biggest fears is like, are we going to be able to handle it? Like if you do take on something new, if you decide that you want a completely new job, or you aren't sure how the future is going to look, or maybe even right now you're feeling a little bit stretched thin because like things are different. All of a sudden you have to like clean your office. So no one else cleans it for you. You have to clean it. You also have to like feed your family or homeschool your kids, or, you know, challenge the, you know, go to the grocery store where it takes forever because you have to wait in line and social distancing and whatever. Like that's, you know, there's a lot to balance, and that's kind of scary because how do you know what to let go of and what to keep? Now, I know that my past and my future are going to look very, very different, and I'm not really sure how that's going to all pan out. But I do know that there are going to need to be things that get let go of, and there are going to be things that I decide to keep. And I have a lot of fear and anxiety over that, right? So we can look at that a little further too. Other people, this is kind of the category where other people see you. And this one, we have the Four of Cups. So maybe other people are seeing you a little bit like you're just like a little discontented, or maybe a little depressed, or maybe you're not accepting the things that are being put right in front of you. There might be something really lovely being put right in your face and you don't know what that is. So, so you could think about, like, what are you rejecting from others? You have that ability, right? You have the ability to say no to things. And so maybe someone needs to hear you say that. Maybe someone needs to hear you say no. Take that for what it is. The lesson learned here is let's see, we've got five of pens, or like the 5 of swords, and this is a little bit of a battle. To me, this one always has to do with, like, you having the ability to fight your own battles, right? So it's a survival mechanism to be able to fight, to have the ability to debate and to speak your mind. Like, maybe the lesson here is that you actually have to say no. Like, if somebody's offering you something and you're like, I don't know what I want, this one, maybe you'd be able to say, no, that's not what I want. That's not how I want this to look. That's not what I want it to be. You have the ability to debate, right? And then finally, we have the 4 of Pentacles. Now, the 4 of Pentacles is about being able to hold on to what you want, being able to decide how to distribute what you have. This man is holding on to his women. I don't know what that's about. Are they his daughters? Does he have 2 wives? He doesn't know which one to let go of? I think it's probably his daughters. He probably doesn't want to let them go. The 4 of Pentacles is about holding on too tight to things. Like, what do you need to let go of, right? How can you distribute things in a different way? What do you need to distribute differently? It's interesting to think about, right? So let's look at a couple of these. And if you guys have anything that you want me to clarify even more, let me know. Just write it in the chat. So I think we're pretty clear on the things like the King and the Queen of Wands and the 4 of Wands fighting that table. Temperance makes sense to me, but I want to know a little bit more about this 7 of Swords. This one here, where she's running away with all the pens. Where are you going with all those pens? Did you leave your office and raid the supply cabinet first? Someone knows. You're not getting away with anything. Let's find out a little bit more about this. Holy cow, I got a bunch of cards. Let's go with these. Okay, so I have here, this is the Fenestra Tarot deck. I have here the Queen of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, the 5 of Wands, and the 10 of Swords. So we've got conflict here. What's going on in your world? So as you're trying to find your balance, your earth, your home, as you're trying to really like set yourself in stone, you're also having to deal with some things from the past. We've got heartache here. We have fighting, like action type fighting. So like if there's something going on in your home life, then it's time to work through that, right? It's time. You have your home that you're taking care of by yourself. And if there is any sort of conflict or anything that you need to worry about, this might be something that's really deep within inside you, something that you have like nightmares over, something that needs to be let go of, then it's time to let go of that. And you can, because we have the 10 of Swords here. The 10 of Swords is a card about rebirth. It's the end of a cycle. It's the end of a really sad cycle. It's the end of depression. It's the end of feeling bound up. It's like the end of heartbreak. It's the end of everything. It's finally this point where you're like, I've had enough, and now I'm ready to see the sun come up on the other side. And I think that's where you need to be. This is a very healing energy. So if you find yourself really grounded, like really ground yourself, eat good food, get out into the wilderness, like not the wilderness, but like get out and see the trees, get some fresh air, and let yourself heal. Then you can take out the swords of the past that are in your heart. You can take out the battles that have gotten into your mind. You know, forgiveness is a pretty hefty thing. And I think right now, all this stuff comes to the forefront, especially if you're in a home with somebody who you battle with sometimes, right? So if you find that that's the case for you, then And go ahead and let that go. Go ahead and approach it in a way so that you can like let the swords go and feel the sunshine again. And I'll tell you that, you know, what I'm getting right now is that you have to let yourself feel it, right? If you have heartbreak, it's going to come to you right now because some of us are really lonely. Some of us feel lonely even in our house with other people, right? Some of the things that have been hidden by life are now maybe right in your face. Like maybe you hide behind your work. Maybe you hide behind going out, drinking, drugs, whatever, food. Maybe you hide behind things like getting your hair done. You know, like I know a lot of people are really upset because they can't get their hair done. They can't get manicures. I mean, come on. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. And when you take all those things away and you start to strip away like these masks that you've been wearing for so long, then all of a sudden you realize that maybe you do have this pain in your heart, or you have these battles that have been fought, and you kind of can understand that like the battle's over. Like all the soldiers are like they're either dead or they're gone, right? It's now it's the next day and it's time to pick up the pieces. It's time to like clean up. It's time to reevaluate and step forward and realize that like you've made it through that battle and it's time to move on. You know, whether that's your job situation or a relationship, if this is something like in the present moment that you need to move from, then that's something to look at, right? But if it's something from your past, oh my gosh, you guys, that's like 100% you need to look at that, right? If you still have heartbreak from a relationship from like 8 years ago, you need to let that go. Like it's time. And the way that you do it is that you feel it fully, feel it completely. Give yourself the time to do that. Whether you go for a walk, sit outside, really ground yourself and let that emotion like really feel it. Permit yourself to feel it and then decide to forgive yourself for having those feelings. You don't have to forgive the other person. You just have to feel that letting go, right? Let it go. Let it die on the battlefield and then walk away, right? Just walk away. You can do it. Oh man, well that's heavy. So then let's look into the next one, which is the Hanged Man. So this is the near future. So like what on earth are we going to be enlightened about? And why is it going to be a little painful? The Hanged Man to me is really similar to the, well, hey, that one fell on the floor. Oh boy. It's like the pain body. Aw. It's like the pain body that Eckhart Tolle talks about. Now, Eckhart Tolle talks about like you have your ego mind, and then you also have your emotional body, and you have your pain body. And the pain body is actually like this physical pain that you feel. Like when I have like even before I did this, like I've never done one of these online before. I'm really kind of anxious about it. So I was like I was fine. And then I put on the thing that it was going to be live. And then I got super nauseous. Now I'm fine. But like for a second there, I was like, what have I done? That's your pain body, right? It gives you something and it feels actually very physically painful. For me, a lot of times it's nausea, but I'll tell you, like I didn't eat anything bad. I didn't do anything. I haven't been around anybody, so I don't have any viruses. Like it didn't make any sense, right? And that's just the pain body from an emotional standpoint. And I know that, and I can be aware of that. So then I can decide to let that go, or I can just say like, hey, I know what you are, and then I can decide to do something that's kind of scary for me, and that's enlightening. Right? So that's the whole idea of the Hanged Man, is that he's in pain, yes, but he understands that the pain is like spiritual pain, and that it's something that he's going to get over. Like he's going to be okay, right? This girl in the swing, I love this car, and she's swinging on this swing, right? And I mean, she's having the time of her life, but she's also upside down and like hung there. You can imagine like if she was stuck on that swing, like that'd be intense, right? So what is this Hanged Man energy about? Well, we got the Seven of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. This is about waiting for a reconciliation from the past. What on earth is that about? So maybe you have some pain, some physical pain about reconnecting with people, with the world in general, maybe with somebody that you really love, maybe with your coworkers, maybe with your family, people you haven't seen in a while, and you realize that you just have to be patient. Patience is tough. It's real tough, friends. It's real tough. So when you find yourself in this Hanged Man position, when you find yourself in physical pain, especially within the next week or so, take a second and think about the people that you want to connect to and how you need to be patient about those connections, but then maybe reach out and say hi. You can still Zoom call. You can still Skype or FaceTime or whatever you need to do, and make those connections so that you can feel connected and we can make it through this time where we do have to be really patient, right? Because we don't have any answers. There are no answers, and that's painful, right? Not knowing the future is very painful, for sure. And I mean, we never know the future. I mean, anything can happen, right? I mean, anything could happen. The future is one thing that we know is not certain ever, ever. But at the same time, we like to have this, like, the ability to plan for the future, right? We like to have this this knowledge of, like, if I put it in my calendar, then it's real, even though it may not be, because anything could happen, right? Like, I could put an appointment in my calendar for a month from now, and then that, like, there could be a natural disaster. I'm not saying there is, but, you know, there could be anything, or we could still be under lockdown in a month, or, you know, I could get a headache, or, you know, like, I could break my leg. Like, anything could happen, right? And so just because it's written in your calendar means nothing. And those are just the little things, but we're actually in a place where, like, we can't plan for anything in the near future. Like, we don't know what May is going to look like. We don't know what June is going to look like. We don't even know what October is going to look like. So how do you plan? Well, you can't. So the best thing to do is just be patient and realize that this is a time for enlightenment, and that it is going to be painful and it is going to hurt. And you're going to feel a little nostalgic for the past, right? These are things that are going to happen. So you can use that when you have that trigger in the future, in the near future. When you have that trigger, recognize it as a sign for enlightenment and just be like, what is this trying to tell me? If you can get past it, you can find a little bit of illumination, right? Yes. Okay, friends, let's see. The next one is about your fears, and I would like to look at this one too because it's the Two of Pentacles. So what are we trying to balance? What are we juggling, and how do we get through this? So the Three of Wands, again, is about waiting, receiving, right? I always think of wands as being like the, there are work cards, and not like, they're like the action cards, the things that we do. Work to me, like supply and demand, right? So the Two of Wands is like sending your ships out full of supplies to somebody else, and the Three of Wands is waiting for those ships to come back in. So I think part of this balance is like not really knowing, and part of the fear is not really knowing when the ships are going to come back in. It's fair and slightly obvious. We also have the Empress. So again, the Empress, like I was talking about before, is about coming into your feminine energy. It doesn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl, right? It really doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. Feminine energy is, your feminine energy is all about feeling receptive, feeling like nurturing, caring, compassionate, quiet, yin, right? It's soft energy. So finding that, and here it is, like, you know, the Three of Wands and the Empress are both very receiving type energies. So I think that's part of this, like, the balance is how do you balance out everything when you're just waiting to receive for so long? Oh, geez. And then and then the Two of Swords, which is about being like kind of stuck in a stalemate of making a decision. So yeah, it's interesting when we have this balance, like this, the Empress and the Three of Wands are both threes. They're three energy. They're both receiving energies, and the twos are all about making decisions, right? What do you drop? What do you keep? And I think what the message is that's coming through here is that the fear is not really knowing. And the solution to that fear would be to receive. So to receive insight, to receive advice from others, for sure, but also to just like meditate, get into your own space, and try to find your creative energy, which is, yeah, the moon too. Again, like finding your creative energy from an intuitive standpoint, from a creative standpoint. Feminine intelligence is not action based. It's not like the spreadsheets and analytics. It's all insightful. So make music, draw, paint, be out in nature, do your gardening, cook, clean, take naps, go for walks, call your friends. These are all very feminine things to do. And it doesn't, like I said before, I don't mean like these are woman things to do. I mean, these are things that are like nurturing qualities, receiving qualities. And while you're doing these things, you may find insight about how to make the decisions that you need to make, right? So take that for what that is and how that resonates for you. Now, other people are seeing you, and the impression that you're giving to the world is that you're just kind of like, I'm not sure if I want that life anymore. So let's have a look at that. The Four of Cups to me is always this ability to say no. Like you have the choice, right? You have the ability to say no. And I think that sometimes we live in a world where we don't really want to say no, right? We don't feel like saying no. We don't feel like it's safe to say no. One of my friends sent me a message the other day. It was an article or something about how some people grow up with families that easily say no to each other. And some people grow up with families that are more like you have to guess, right? Like I grew up in a guessing family. So you kind of suggest what you want. And then my parents would say like, well, we'll see. And then you might get it, you might not. And there was never this like yes or no, like my mom would never say no. She'd say things like money don't grow on trees. She'd say stuff like that. But like saying yes or no was never, I don't know, it just was never a thing for, like we just didn't do it. And then I remember once I went to my aunt's house, my aunt and uncle, my uncle through marriage, my uncle was like his actual family, and my aunt was through marriage. So she had come from a different family, right? They're married. And I was young. I mean, this is like a very young memory. And they had nuts that you could crack with a thing and then eat the nuts. I thought it was like the coolest thing. I was probably like 5 years old. And I remember this, like to this day, she asked me, she was like, well, do you want some? And I was like, well, I don't know. And I did. I wanted them so good. It was, how fun is that? You can crack the nuts open and eat them. I mean, that's like the coolest thing. And in my head, I'm like, yes. But my response was, I don't know. Because I didn't come from a place where it was okay to just be like, yes, I want that. And she got so mad at me, and she was like, you need to say yes or no. That's it. You need to say yes or no. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. I was like, it's so profound to me that I still remember it so vividly to this day. And I don't remember anything else about that visit at all. Like not at all. But I remember that. All right. So in this group, this Four of Cups, we have the Seven of Wands, which is interesting. As a lot of people see this as like being prepared for battle or like defending yourself. The way that I look at this card, the Seven of Wands, because the wands are all about action to me. I look at the Seven of Wands as like compiling your resources. Like you are picking out the sticks that you want to build your future, right? He's like, I'll take that one. And he's really determined about it. And it looks like the other sticks are fighting, but you don't see any of the other people. So it's, I mean, he could just be picking up the sticks, right? He's deciding which sticks to use. We have the Four of Pentacles, which is the same one that we have at the end, which is about holding on to your resources and deciding what to do with them. Do you want to keep them? Do you want to put them somewhere else? You have that decision. And then, of course, the ending is judgment. You make the final decision there. You have the ability to decide. You make the judgment call. What do you want, right? What do you want? What do you want in your life? What do you want to say yes to? What do you want to say no to? What do you want to say yes, but here? And yes, but here, right? It might be something as simple as like reorganizing your house or your office. It might be as complicated as like completely restructuring your entire business, right? I've been thinking a lot about what I want in mine, and maybe I need to close some things down. Maybe I need to open some other things up. Maybe I need to cancel some bills. Maybe I need to add some others on. Like I need to say yes to some things and no to others. But where I've been stuck, and I don't know about you, but I know I have been, is in this place where I'm just like, I don't know. So I'm just going to sit here. So it's time to learn to make some decisions, some yes or no decisions. And the big lesson here, the big lesson is to learn to debate for yourself, to fight for yourself. So this isn't just about saying yes or no, but this is like really using the sharp wit of your tongue. And here it's pens, right? Because again, the pen is mightier than the sword, according to Siri Soderblom, maker of the deck. But why? Why do you need to do this? And how? Okay. Ooh, fun. Okay, so we have the Knight of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, and the Hangman, but the Hangman's upside down this time. So the big lesson here is that you have something that you want to give, right? Oh, here we are over here. You have something that you want to give. You have something some gift that you can give to the world. And you've been a little slow to get it there, right? You're not really rushing in, but you're kind of like, here's this thing. And I know it's worth something. I've been holding on to it for a really long time. And maybe now I'm ready to let it go. So what is that thing for you? I'll tell you, this is the victory card. This is the ticker tape parade. He is full of movement. There's, he's coming back from war. Life is great. There's a celebration. This is all about victory. So this thing that you've been holding on to, once you unlock all those other things, you can maybe offer this one thing to the world. And it might just be one little thing. But when you do, victory. And then even better, this pain body response that you've had from the Hangman, who is usually like this, upside down, hanging on the tree, totally in pain, but see how he's all illuminated around his head? He's completely enlightened. But when he's upside down, he can walk right off the tree. So that's the lesson here, is that you can get out of this hanged man energy. You can get out of that feeling of being stuck. Remember before it was like you have to be patient and you're feeling nostalgic and you just feel kind of like hung up and you don't know what's happening, but there's like, there's something better. Well, I'll tell you what's better. This thing, this intelligent idea that you have that's ready to be brought out into the world will make you feel victorious and will help you to get out of that hanged man energy. But you're going to have to fight a little bit for it. You're going to have to be really sharp with your words. And that may mean debating, but it may also mean writing something down, right? It might be taking your interests and putting them down on paper. This doesn't mean fighting a battle on Facebook about who's right and who's wrong, or, remember, we're finding the balance between masculine and feminine. And we're finding our duality. We do not have any good or bad. There is no good or bad. There's only enlightenment. And then as we come to the end of our journey, what is our big final outcome here? It's the Four of Pentacles. Let's get some more on that. Come on, cards. I remember the Four of Pentacles is figuring out how to distribute your wealth, basically, like what to hold on to, what to let go of. And I feel like in the future, we'll find that balance of what can you hold on to? What do you want to let go of? What does that mean for you in the future? And which one of those pentacles, which one of those things are you going to give to the world? Okay, come on. There's not a lot of information coming out here. Usually it's, there we go. Okay, yes. The Eight of Cups. It's about walking away from the past. Yeah, you guys, this is kind of cool. How do you find balance between your masculine and feminine energy? How do you find all four parts of your table? Well, you find that one thing that you have, that one unique thing that you can give to the world, and you present it to the world. Okay, don't dwell on the past. Let go of the heartbreak. Let go of the fighting. See if you can do some forgiveness work. Decide what you want to let go of and what you want to hold on to. And that's going to give you the victory. Okay. All right, friends. It's about 10 o'clock, so I think we'll stop there. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for having fun with me tonight. And I'll see you guys for stretching class next week. Okay. Bye-bye.